Hi, Jim Freeman. Here again. I'm from Silverbridge Senior Transitions and JP Freeman team at Coldwell Banker. And I'm here today with a really good friend of mine, a friend that I've worked with for decades, not to age both of us, but it's Cherie Nurmi. And Cherie is currently with American Pacific Mortgage and was formerly with Wells Fargo, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her experience with them. But recently I worked with Cherie again. We've worked together dozens of times over 20 years. And so oftentimes these recordings that we do with subject matter experts like Cherie are for the purpose of telling how we can serve seniors a little bit better in transitioning out of their homes, either moving to some other place or maybe into assisted living or some kind of higher level of care. But you know, seniors aren't the only one who require transitions. And we recently together worked with a couple, I think they're in their 50s, maybe mid 50s, early 50s. And they needed to move from one location to another for a job transfer. But they had a lot of the same sort of needs that seniors have when they're liquidating their homes or taking care of their personal property. And in this particular case, there's a special twist on VA lending, which I want to talk about because it's really important to know this. But first, Cherie, tell our audience here that you know a little bit about yourself. You and I met when you were working with Wells Fargo Home Lending.
Yeah, so it's been many years that we've known each other. I worked at Wells Fargo for 22 years on the lending side in the mortgage department, and recently made a change to American Pacific Mortgage and am connected again with Jim, and it's been a great transition, lots of opportunities, and really excited to be able to work together again.
So you did more than make loans at Wells Fargo. As I recall, you had some supervisory duties as well.
Yeah, so over the years I did have different positions with them as a sales supervisor with a team of mortgage people, and also as a branch manager with Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. So a couple different positions there in my 22 years, and just really always connected with people. That was a main thing, building a team, working together, whether it was working with the underwriting department, working with my bank partners, and really just figuring out different ways to service our clients.
Right. So you were supervising other people making loans, and you were in Pierce County and Kitsap County, and maybe up in the peninsula too, the Olympic Peninsula.
Clallam County.
Clallam, okay. So you had a pretty wide territory that you were working in. And what I remember, I don't know the numbers you know, but you have probably made 1,000 loans a year for 22 years, maybe, something like that.
It's been quite a bit of customers that I've helped over the years, so
right.
It's pretty exciting. Clients, a lot of veteran clients that I've had that I've helped with their transition, even from Japan all the way to Pennsylvania. So you know, it's not just been here locally, but clients across the United States as well.
All right. But the point is, it's been tens of thousands that you've helped over the space of your career. So, and not many people do that much business, frankly. And the advantage of working with somebody like that is that she's seen a lot of stuff, you know, and you know, been able to push through loans that maybe other people wouldn't know how to do. Maybe just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think that, thanks, Jim. You know, I always am humbled by the fact that, you know, I've helped all of these clients over all of the years. You know, I feel like it's been a blessing and an honor. So, you know, it's thanks for the credit there with the number of people. You know, it's really, everybody has a unique story that they have. Everybody's situation is different. So, in my experience over all of these years, it's allowed me to individualize and really meet the client where they're at and figure out what do we need to do for their situation, and how does that home lending piece fit into it.
Right, because buying or selling a home, usually, there's more than how much can I get for it, or how much do I have to pay. There's a reason they're moving. It's something's happened in their lives. They got married, had some more children, job transfer, military transfer, senior transitions, all kinds of different reasons. And what people don't understand sometimes is that what we try to do as professionals is try to make that objective work.
Right.
It's not just about rate, although rate's important, but money's always important. But trying to put a plan together that customizes a plan for the special objectives that the clients are trying to achieve is really what you're doing.
That's always been the main focus for me, and I think that's why I've been able to help so many people over all of these years. You meet with the client, and what are your short-term goals, what are your long-term goals, what are you going through, and when you're looking at financing and home purchasing or selling, even refinancing, these are like the most stressful things. People don't like to talk about their finances.
No, nobody does. Yeah.
So, there's really, I feel honored when I have a client and I'm working with them, and you can take them from all of their transition. My goal is always from start to finish, what's important to you and how do we accomplish that, and to have that be the least amount of stress as possible.
Right. And of course, all information that people give to you is held in strict confidence, and they can rely on you to keep their secrets if that's what they want to do.
Financial secrets,
sure.
Definitely.
Right. So over 22 years at Wells Fargo and now at American Pacific for the past year or so, you've handled a lot of different loan types. You've done construction loans, conventional permanent loans, government loans, VA, FHA, USDA, renovation, HELOCs, all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Out of tens of thousands of people, you've probably done at least dozens of each type of loan. And why is that important?
Well, I think it's extremely important because each person has a unique set of circumstances. And, if you have a client, for example, one of the clients that we've recently helped had their veteran benefit, and that was huge. They did not think that they were going to be able to move without selling first. And I believe that's where Jim actually met them, was in that transition of how are we going to get from this house to where we need to go with our relocation.
So, as we're recording this interview here today, market conditions are changing. The outlook for the near-term future, maybe at least the next year, and probably more, will be that interest rates are going to go up, and therefore people's incomes may not match the rate at which home loan mortgages increase, which affects something that housing experts call housing affordability. So unless people's incomes adjust in lockstep with rate increases, that probably means that housing prices have to come down. They're going to be worth less than what we all thought they might be based on the trajectory of this very hot housing market that we've been experiencing for a few years. And I met this couple in their home, and we were discussing just what we were talking about, their objectives, what was causing them to think about a move, what needed to happen in order to make that happen. And they were, a little bit resentful. They told me that they had a VA loan on the home that they were living in, and they needed to move soon. And the borrower, the couple had borrowed money through a VA loan because it was a veteran borrower. And they were under the impression that VA borrowers can only have one VA loan at a time, which kind of makes sense because, you know, VA loans are for owner occupants only.
Right.
But the fact is, there's more to it, isn't there?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the exciting part.
Yeah.
Is when you can actually meet with a client and find a solution for them.
Right.
Somebody that goes from thinking that they have their VA entitlement, they're using it on their existing home and they need to move, and their life circumstance is not an easy move without, you know, being able to transition first and then sell after.
Right. Which is what a lot of people find themselves in that situation today.
Right, and so it's really, you know, sitting down, thinking about what options they do have, seeing what their needs are, and this VA, a lot of veterans don't know that they can actually have this bonus entitlement. It's a feature to their VA eligibility, and he happened to also have his disability rating with his VA status, so that was just like, that was even better, because not only was he still able to do a second bonus entitlement loan, with, you know, figuring out how much he could purchase. Maybe he needed a small down payment still. Maybe he could have done 100% financing and still have been able to use that bonus entitlement. So there's definitely different formulas there, but with that disability waiver and no funding fee for the VA, that was kind of like an extra bonus for this client.
Right, well, and the problem is that that client had assumed that it was all over. You know, they were facing a really big problem because they needed to move, and they thought that they had to sell the house first in order to buy another house, but it just turned out not to be true. And I was literally sitting in their living room with them, having this discussion, and because I had talked to you about it prior, and you had told me about this ability of VA borrowers to, for a short time anyway, to have two VA loans at the same time, which I didn't know. You know, even I didn't know. I was sitting at the couch, and when the husband said, you know, we got to sell the place and pay off my VA loan first, because I want to use a VA loan to buy the next home. I said, hold on, wait a minute, and I went through that, and they didn't believe me. You know, they said, well, you know, who are you to know? And I said, well, I'm nobody, but I have an expert. So I pulled out my phone, I dialed it, and I was sitting in the living room, and I connected with you. You happened to be able to answer your phone at the moment, and they got into a conversation right away, and they discovered this important fact that they didn't know, and that one fact unlocked a whole array of possibilities for them to solve the problem. And then we did move forward. You were able to qualify them. It was a bumpy road, but you were able to do it.
Well, and I think that's the exciting part, is when you have that solution for a client, and then you start working together as a team. Here's a solution, and let's all work together. And they were great about anything that I needed as far as documentation goes, being super responsive. I was able to pull the certificate of eligibility for them right away, and to say, okay, this is how much you have tied up in this house, here's what your bonus entitlement is, and what kind of price range.
Right.
And once we knew that price range and that bonus entitlement, then it was, how do we solve for maybe that, and this was a super small down payment that they needed. It was only $20,000 on a $550,000 purchase. So,
right. Actually, it was $450 in the end, but that's the point. So you dug in, you did some research, you went down some paths, verifying their eligibility, their disability status. I think you did some other research for them too. There was some trusts involved and some other things. which you went way out of your way to research what the possibilities were with these other financial resources that they had, which they were also unaware of. And in the end, you were able to issue a approval letter for them to make a purchase, which made it easier for me because I didn't have to make offers that were contingent on the sale of their home. And this is really important, which allowed us to negotiate some things with sellers that maybe they wouldn't have done otherwise if we had a contingent offer. So it worked out great, is what I'm trying to say. And so if somebody, so you did your research, and you sit in your office wherever you are, at home or in your office, and you're checking boxes with people who are called underwriters. And can you tell us a little bit about the underwriting process and what that means for lenders and borrowers?
Well, we always, the credit piece is one of the pieces, and I think that that's another opportunity too, because a lot of times people think that their credit score is going to be too low, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not able to purchase because your credit score is low. So look at options. It's always a start point. Down payment. So how do we solve for the credit score piece of it? You might be ready, you might be pleasantly surprised. I've had people petrified of having their credit pulled, and then we pull their credit and it's like, wow, I have
what are
a
you worried
7,
about?
yeah, it's like I've got a 780 credit score,
Yeah.
when they were thinking the worst. And so it's all about sharing information with them. So that's one piece of it. Then you have the next piece that comes into play, which is the down payment part of it. So in this case, with this veteran client, we had a gift that we could use for the down payment, small down payment that they needed, but we needed to be creative with the seller assisting with closing costs, and that's Jim was able to help negotiate into the contract for closing costs. So that piece of it, there's down payment assistance programs out there that I've used in the past and are still available. That's a great resource, and people also that own their own home still have access to this down payment assistance program too. Right. So
because it's not only for first-time homebuyers.
it is not.
That's
and
right.
I think that's a misconception. That's another one of those out there that people think that I own my home and there's not programs out there.
Right.
And so it's really just what's unique about that situation and how do we solve for that.
And that requires conversation and trust, and you have to establish a relationship with somebody and just make them feel comfortable and let them know it's okay. Nothing bad is going to happen because they're discussing things, and when we have that information and we use it properly, we can do a lot of stuff. So I think there are a lot of people out there today, Cherie, who own a home, and they, for whatever reason, they need to move, geographic problems or jobs or changes in marriages, all kinds of reasons, seniors. And so we just discussed at least 2 different ways that particularly VA borrowers, but also people with maybe FHA and down payment assistance or a conventional 3% Fannie Mae down with down payment assistance can accomplish that. But it's complicated. It's not easy, and you need a team of people who are specialists in various fields to help you get to the point where you can make it happen.
Yeah, definitely, and the experience that I have to draw on from people is really something that I have to offer both my partners in the market as well as my clients. Just knowing what are those pieces of the puzzle and how do we best work this for them. Right.
Okay, well, another problem solved, another family helped. Thank you very much, Cherie, for the help that you brought. I think you did a great job. And we're gonna have Cherie back on some future interviews. We're gonna talk about topics from time to time that come up. You know, I'll leave when we record this and post it, you know, in various places we do. We'll make sure that people have your contact information.
Thanks,
So if they want to get in touch with you, just, you know, you can just give her a call and chat what your circumstances, no charge, no obligation. You know, that people can take advantage of that.
Oh, thank you. And it's definitely the mortgage plan, right?
Right.
Short-term, long-term, and are you ready now, or how do we get you there?
Right, exactly. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.